to Ed. We're joined in studio right now by Wayne, founder of the World Primate Sanctuary, a conservation NGO that she runs from home. Welcome to the studio, Wayne.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, before we get into it, we'd like to find out what got you interested. Let's talk about your background, and you've been doing this for 30 years. What was the interest? How did you start?
Well, I started by getting this little monkey as a pet in a pet shop. Like most people, and I didn't have a clue of how to take care of this monkey. I was told just to feed it on simple little things, and I was yearning for more information. I need to learn more. So I tried to look around, and I couldn't find information here. I then found other people that knew about the monkeys or had monkeys, including zoos, and I started learning through them and vets. I started helping vets and learning my information through there. But the greatest of all, of course, was the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
I went through to the Amazon a few times, and but again, they are canopy dwellers, so you hardly see them. So in actual fact, I only learned more about their habitat, the weather conditions, and what they eat.
Tell us more about the Amazon, and like that should be interesting.
That was absolutely incredible. Pretty scary because I was barrier.
Wow.
And then we found this caboclo, and he actually started rowing down the Amazon in the different kinds of tributaries, beautiful sounds and everything. And then there was a hole in the boat, so he was busy taking all the water out, and I thought, great.
So how many times you said you went to the Amazon? Twice?
Twice.
And what was the period you were there for? How long?
Well, approximately 3 weeks, and then the other trip was a month.
Oh, nice.
Loved it totally, but it was scary. I ate piranhas and and fell into sinking sand as well. That was my first trip there.
Now, we were talking before we started the interview. You said most of the knowledge you got from the monkeys was self-taught.
That's correct. Yes,
Tell us about that.
I did actually learn a few. Well, little bits and pieces from other people that own monkeys. There's one or two little small organizations in South Africa. You're talking a long time ago, so information was quite rare to find. And then, of course, I got to know a variety of specialists in America and in the UK. And so all my studying, that I would sit in the cages and I'll observe these monkeys, write down everything. Eventually somebody said I should write a manual in a book and try and share my knowledge. And then I compared that knowledge with other people's experiences. Yeah. And that's basically how I learned.
Nice.
And then with veterinary care as well.
Almost 30 years now you've been doing this.
That's right.
Let's talk about WPS. How do you guys operate?
Okay, well, we get a lot of phone calls from individuals that have them as pets. A lot of them don't know very much. They're not pets for children. That's a big no-no. They are very difficult, even as adults, to look after them. So the care that they need is incredibly specialized. Yes, they phone us with information. A lot of the owners will phone and they'll be in tears because their monkeys attack them without letting go and without warning. And I have to try to tell the people these are wild animals at the end of the day. They are, it doesn't matter if they're tame or if they're wild, they are going to attack you.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those things. But if you have the knowledge, then you can do it the right way. They're not protected as such. But yes, the people will phone me. I will then try to educate them, and a lot of them attack the owners. They don't want them anymore. And then they come through and they donate the monkey through to us, and we then take it from there.
Great. So now you said, how many monkeys do you have?
At the moment, 52.
Yeah.
At the moment. They have to all be in cages because they are actually monogamous. So they've got to be in cages for their own protection. However, there are lots of people that just let them run around, and in fact, last week we got 2 calls. 2 monkeys died from their own dogs attacking them.
Oh,
so yes, they do need to be protected, and well, the only way I can try to fight against this or try to help the monkeys is through education.
Do you have? Is it the same kind of species, or are they different?
Most of them are, yes. Most of them are the marmoset monkey, the white here, but you also get the black-eared marmosets. And remember, these guys all originated from South America. And then they came into this country, and it became like a pet trade. And really, Gauteng is kind of like lost, in how can I say? There's so many people that own them. And
really?
Yes, in Gauteng particularly. And all the other provinces seems to be protected, permits and things like that. Gauteng is the only province that's not, and it's been years and years and years that they haven't had. But we think it's because of the fact that, first of all, they should have implemented it a long time ago. Now all these years it's taken, there's so many people that own them. It's going to be expensive to try to get a permit system, get going really, because first of all, you've got so many people. Secondly, their lifespan is so much shorter. It's almost half as much in the natural. 20 to 25 years they live in the jungle, and in captivity it's shortened to approximately 8 to 12 to 13 years old. And the reason is simply because of the weather. It's not the same weather. The majority of the reason, though, is people actually give them the diseases.
All right, so before we go, let's talk about your community service work. I hear you do some community work.
Absolutely. It's my way of trying to spread the information and educate the public, and doing it from a point of view of going to schools, doing talks, where they will also raise funds, or they will bring food for us so that we can try to help with it helps both ways basically. So I can educate them, and they can come through to the sanctuary, do their community service work by painting cages, enriching the cages, and of course good old learning.
And obviously when you're talking about this community, are they excited? The kids and the children excited about this?
Very excited. We get children plus minus 14 years plus. They become quite active in it, and then they ask lots of questions, which I love. And how did the monkeys get here? And why is this one sick? Lots of questions, but yes, they love it. They do their own enrichment. So I'll pick a cage and I'll say, right, you've got a little bit of idea of what enrichment to do for them, because these little guys are pretty intelligent, as small as they are. And then I try and make it exciting, and I say to them, think on the natural side. Remember, there's lots of trees in the jungle. They're all vertical, so you need to use a little bit of vertical, enrichment plus horizontal enrichment. How they get from the box to the food, things like that. They love to forage, so they love to go down onto the ground and in the grass forage and look around for insects.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have somebody in studio who's here to share their knowledge.
Yes.
We're going to be chatting more with Dwayne. She's going to be in studio again to talk more on the monkeys. Stay tuned right here on Ed. Hey guys, welcome back to Ed. Now, keeping exotic animals as pets, are you for it or against it? To enthusiastic pet owners, exotic implies the somewhat rare and unobtainable. Wayne, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
Let's talk about exotic pets, in particular the marmoset monkeys that you save and rehabilitate, and the people that you educate about these animals. Do you find there is a demand for monkeys as pets?
There is a huge demand. The reason most of the people say because they're so cute. Well, I saw them here and I saw them on this person, and yes, they are cute. They're very cute, especially when they're babies. But they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. There's a lot of care that you need to look after these little guys. The diet, the cage system, but particularly the sicknesses you've got to be aware of.
So is there somewhere people can get educated about this?
Unfortunately not, and that's why I have written a manual and trying to help the public as much as possible, because anybody in Gauteng can actually own these guys. So we're trying to tell people there's more cons than pros. Yes, they can help people that suffer from depression and things like that as well. But these are wild animals at the end of the day. You have to keep on looking past the domestic. It's not a domestic pet.
Isn't that a problem that anybody can own these guys?
It is a problem, but again, coming to the permits thing, it would have been lovely if they had implemented this many years ago. But now to try to implement it now is going to be very tricky, because permits are not going to save the lives of monkeys. Plus, as being such a short lifespan financially, it's going to be quite a job to be able to carry on with the permit. So yes, we need to have control, and that's why I believe education is the way to go, saving lives.
All right, so let's talk about the care and how to take care of these. How much work needs to go into this?
That is what I do all day, every day. There's no room for holidays or anything like that. So yes, you see they're social animals. They are monogamous, so they are in pairs. You can't just put a whole group unless they belong to the same family. So otherwise you're going to get fighting. There's no such thing as inbreeding because of the fact is that there's pheromones that are released which suppresses the estrous cycle of adult females.
What are some of the worst cases you've come across?
Well, sure, herpes virus. That is one of our we call it the kiss of death.
Wow.
And that is because people think it's so cute and they let them run around their house and they come and they eat off their plate. They can lick a teaspoon, like say somebody's stirred their coffee, lick the teaspoon, put it down.
Mm-hmm.
Just by that monkey running around, licks the teaspoon, whoops, if you suffer from cold sores like most people do,
mm-hmm.
children, adults, that monkey can die and often does die. And the cure that we use for cold sores, it doesn't seem to help very much for the monkeys themselves. Yeah.
Wow.
So that is, they actually suffer terrible, terrible pain. They go through fits. They shake their head and they arch their back and they froth at the mouth. Terrible pain. So most vets have to actually put them down once they get the herpes because it's too late to cure.
You mentioned they help with depression. I like that to talk more on that.
Yes.
How does that work? How do they help?
I think in a way, in a psychological way, it gives you a reason to live. You've got, like a lot of people would have dogs and birds and things like that. Mm-hmm. It takes that stress off, because we're living in such a high, fast-moving, lifestyle. I mean, it just takes that little edge off that and the stress levels and things like that by focusing your attention and watching the monkeys. I sat for hours and hours in cages just watching. It was wonderful. Took a book to go and read, but I barely read one page because I was so intrigued by their behavior. Mm-hmm. And I just wrote it all down and I had to keep on writing.
Is it also like, well, let's say you have one monkey, can they get depressed as well?
They can.
Mm-hmm.
They can, especially if they've been brought up in a group, and this is where the mistake that people make. A lot of the time you'll have hand-reared monkeys where they can have 3 babies in one go, and in captivity. And often that 3rd baby ends up dying because there's not sufficient teats to actually suckle from. So you're going to get a monkey die. So then in that case, a lot of those people will hand rear, and the best way to do it is to put it back with its family. Because at the end of the day, just like us, we need to learn from our parents. They do too in order to become a stable monkey. Mm-hmm. If they don't, they'll end up attacking the people, on their ears usually, or their nose, and not letting go at all. Mm-hmm. They don't give you warning. And that's where you get the problem upon sexual maturity. Around about 2 years old, the marmosets become sexually mature, and then in that way, the behavior changes.
Wow. All right, so as good as they look on TV, they're not that easy to keep as pets.
Not at all. And when I say proteins, you're looking at fish fingers, you're looking at chicken. All of these must be cooked because you don't want to give the monkey salmonella, from raw meat. Mm-hmm. So all of the proteins must be cooked. They're extreme. They get border food too, just like what we do. So they have to have a huge variety. Back in the jungle, they have little birds' eggs. They eat insects. They eat gum and a variety of fruits. Mm-hmm. But in captivity, they can't go and forage for themselves, and their cardiovascular system is not that fantastic because they're in a cage, which is for their own good at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, they shouldn't really be here in this country anyway. It should be in their natural habitat. However, now we have to see to this problem and try to educate and make people aware that they do need proteins. They need, and by that I mean bully beef, fish fingers, cooked chicken, all of the protein, eggs. So we give about 2 or 3 proteins a day, especially in winter. Vitamin C is very important. They need fruit, vegetables cooked, starches, things like rice, breads, all that kind of thing. They have to have a huge variety.
Wayne, listen, I think we can talk about this. We can go on
yes,
and on talking about this. But you know what? Thank you very much for coming in. I'm sure we're going to have you again so we can share more on the knowledge on the monkeys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
There you have it, folks. If you want to talk more, you want to comment, you know where to go to our social media pages. Facebook, it's @318. On Twitter, @318ed. Stay tuned for more right here on Ed.